I'm delighted today to be joined by a highly experienced leader, change maker, and advocate within the fintech industry. With a career that began here at Reuters, our guest has held senior leadership positions across the payments industry, from CEO at VocaLink, President MasterCard UK and Ireland, and more recently as Director of Payments at NatWest. Our guest is also Chair of the Payments Association. A warm welcome to you, Marion King.
Thank you very much. Thank you, James.
So your role as Chair of the Payments Association must give you a unique insight into the challenges facing the broader payments landscape today. What are the top 3 challenges you see as facing the payments industry? And how are you helping to overcome them in your role?
Gosh, there are many, James, challenges. I think the top 3 would be, the first one, I think, is the real drive for real-time payments, and not just in a country, but cross-border as well. And I think that's a major challenge. And the solution for that is, modernization on infrastructure. And I think that the drive for ISO 20022 being a global standard to enable key networks and infrastructures to be interoperable is going to be huge. And we're already seeing this with the new RTGS, with NPA, with Target 2, SEPA, as they're all modernizing their infrastructures in a similar time window. And it's about synchronizing that and managing that, because these are significant programs of work. So that's the first challenge. I think it's all about the infrastructure and modernizing. The second one, I think, will be the next phases of open banking and ensuring that the competition, openness and innovation that sort of modern architecture can bring is really adopted well across the landscape. And by that, I mean open banking impacts retail customers like you and I, SMEs, mid-caps, large organizations, and indeed government departments and cross-country. So getting the next phase of open banking established, things like variable recurring payments, which give more transparency, bring more data, enable businesses to run their companies more effectively, will be the next challenge for not just rolling out these services, but for companies and individuals getting used to how to adopt them. And the third challenge, which is all pervasive, is an external challenge, and that's the one of fraud and financial crime in our industry. It is a huge challenge, and the biggest one I think we face. It ruins lives, it ruins businesses, and financial crime is rising, not falling. So we have a lot of work to do as an industry. There's much underway, and I think it's all focused around digital identity. We need to be much tighter and closer at identifying organizations and individuals. Sharing and collaboration needs to be stronger, and we need to reach out to beyond the payments industry to make sure that every organization is fighting crime.
Great, yeah, thanks for sharing. And how important is collaboration within the industry at a time when there are many new technologies, many new regulations coming down the line, as you described?
I think it's beyond important. I think it's essential. I think it's really the lifeblood of the payments industry. This is, a network industry. Payments start somewhere and end somewhere, and there are many parties in the chain, in the flow. All of those need to collaborate. Now, we've seen many examples here in the UK, across Europe and across the globe, where collaboration has moved our payments industry forward. Launching big new payment systems, real-time payments, for example, demonstrate how we can work together. But it has to go beyond a regulatory change to make us work together. And I think we lost our way a bit, probably 10 years ago, when the drive was heavily on competition, which I think is right, moving away from bank ownership, moving away to a much more open, competitive and innovative market, which is happening. We're still not where we need to be, but it's happening. But competition doesn't mean we don't collaborate. And collaboration means sharing, talking openly. And clearly, organizations understand the boundaries in terms of competition law, but that collaboration is fundamental to the payments industry moving forward, embracing technology and stopping crime.
And what do you predict to be the most disruptive change facing payments over the next 5 years?
Oh gosh, which one will it be? I think longer term, I'm a believer in distributed ledger technology and cryptocurrency. I think that's going to fundamentally change the transparency and openness of our payment systems. But probably nearer term, I think I see big disruption coming with cross-border payments, which is good. Cross-border payments are too slow, too clunky, too expensive. And we're seeing some really interesting partnerships emerging, such as the one announced last year with EBA Clearing, SWIFT and the Clearinghouse, bringing networks together to enable faster, safer, more efficient and transparent cross-border payments. So I think cross-border is the way to go. And I think it's going to have a major impact on correspondence banking, for example.
Absolutely, and it's a core item of our agenda at Payment Summit Europe, which we're obviously delighted to have you moderating one of our sessions on driving inclusion as we move towards a cashless future.
Yeah.
Could you share some insight into what you hope to discuss and moderate the summit?
Yeah, we've got a great panel, James, lined up, and I think currently the impact that the pandemic has had, the impact that we're seeing on the cost of living now, partly triggered by the Russian war on Ukraine and the knock-on effects of that, we're seeing consumers and individuals, particularly the more vulnerable, struggle to manage their finances and to manage these cost of living rises. You know, we've seen only this morning 9% inflation in the UK, the first time for 40 years, and this is happening across the globe. We saw the effects of the pandemic where the acceleration to digital payments was there. For those that do not have access to the internet, they either can't afford it or they don't have the capacity or the confidence to use the internet to manage their finances. This is causing a bigger divide. And we have a responsibility as an industry and beyond this industry to work together to ensure that no one gets left behind. So network providers, telcos, as well as banks, financial institutions and payment providers. And so we're going to explore this. On the 31st of May, we launched with the Payments Association and the Inclusion Foundation, Finclusion Day on 31st of May. And it's an ebook which really challenges the thinking about what we need to do to improve financial inclusion and digital inclusion. And they are going to be fundamental going forward. As I say, with the cost of living rises that we're seeing, these are going to be fundamental for healthy and successful economies to come out of the other side. So that's going to be the essence of the topic that I will be facilitating, and I'm really looking forward to that discussion.